already know that he has speed, he's got power. I know he's moving up in weight class, can he carry it? You know, but those intangibles, I believe that he has them.
And then Canelo's older. Crawford has the ability, but he's small, you know, and he can look bigger in, Crawford could look bigger in the weigh-ins and all that stuff, but it's always a difference. When you get in that fight with somebody, you can tell. Same thing with Jamel. Jamel fought him, the twin, he fought Crawford, and in all the stuff, the weigh-ins and the press conference.
Too fast and too smart for Canelo. Even Canelo is a good boxer. I'm not taking like nothing from Canelo.
Canelo versus Crawford is being called the fight of the year, and Teddy Atlas has shared his honest thoughts. Atlas believes Terence Crawford can win no matter the weight class. He praises Crawford's skill, discipline, and ability to adapt. Atlas argues that Canelo Alvarez isn't the same fighter anymore, saying the Mexican star has lost the hunger that once made him great. He points to Canelo's recent performances as proof of decline, and even calls him overrated when compared to Crawford. For Atlas, Crawford's sharpness and drive make him the clear favorite.
That the urgency's not there, the fire's not there. At least it wasn't there a week ago. At least I say that. It wasn't there a week ago. Maybe it'll be there now. Maybe he's the kind of guy that, and I get it, that at this point in their career, it has to be a big fight to get up. That Canelo can't get up for these fights. He couldn't get up for that fight. All right, if you want to go down that road, go ahead. But my road is still possible. That he got old, that just doesn't have that fire no more. Oh my God, I'm gonna say this one. That maybe he's a little overrated. I listen, I know he's tremendous. He's tremendous. But could he be a tiny bit overrated? If you look at some of his biggest fights, the fights where you had to be great to win, that you fought great fighters or near great fighters, you know, you can make the argument that he lost the first Triple G. You know, he didn't embarrass himself, but he got a draw. Second one, you can make the argument he lost that. I know it was a different kind of fight, and he got better. But you can make the argument he lost to Lara. He did lose to Mayweather. You can make the argument he was too young in his career. Maybe. Although it wasn't that young. He turned pro when he was 15.
Mean Machine, a fighter who has faced Terence Crawford, insists that size won't decide the outcome of his fight with Canelo Alvarez. He says Crawford's skills are on another level, and that his ring intelligence makes him too smart for Canelo. In his view, the gap in IQ, timing, and adaptability is far greater than the difference in size or weight. Mean calls Crawford one of the smartest fighters of his time, able to adjust mid-fight and break opponents down no matter their advantages. He praises Crawford's control of pace, distance, and rhythm. To him, sharper skills beat size, and that edge belongs to Crawford.
No, it's not good for Crawford. Canelo's too big. Right now, my position changed. I think Crawford is too fast and too smart for Canelo. Even Canelo is a good boxer. I'm not taking not taking nothing from Canelo, but the way when you see oh, he's too big, when you see Usyk fights and what Usyk did to the big guys like Joshua and Fury, so the size doesn't matter. I think the skill level matters, and Crawford, he gained weight, but I think gonna be even faster, and his head works good in the ring. He's boxing IQ just on top. So I would say 50-50, but right now I'm kind of leaning more to Crawford.
And that's just because of what you saw Usyk do?
It's not I'm just giving an example, size doesn't matter in the boxing. When they say Canelo is big and he's fighting 175, 168, and Crawford just moving from 147, 154. So I'm just putting an example that size doesn't matter, and the fighter makes the fight. I think it's just that I see that Crawford's training and that he's big too right now. So he gained weight, but not a lot of people gain weight like that sloppy weight, I would say fat, but he gained he looked strong, massively strong. So I think it's gonna be a good one.
How did Terence feel physically when you faced him? How is his strength? Because yeah, a lot of people do make the point that Canelo's just maybe too big, too powerful for Crawford.
Crawford, I wouldn't say like his punches was like super strong, but his timing and accuracy is what makes it.
Mean Machine compares the Crawford versus Canelo fight to Canelo's 2013 matchup with Floyd Mayweather. Back then, Canelo was less experienced, and Mayweather completely outclassed him with speed, defense, and ring control. Mean believes Crawford can pull off something similar with movement, precision, and smart counterpunching to frustrate Canelo and shut down his weapons. Still, he admits there's a key difference. Canelo today is far more seasoned than he was. In 2013, over time, he's fought and beaten top opponents, learned to adjust, and develop patience that wasn't there in the Mayweather fight.
They throw hard, but they just throw. And he throws like his calculation for the punches and like timing and aiming to the right spots is just like on another level.
Do you think that's going to be the thing that complicates the fight the most for Canelo?
I think so, yeah. And like we can go back a little bit to Mayweather Canelo, and Canelo was young and like Mayweather smart, but it can be like familiar fight like that. Even Canelo right now have more experience, and Crawford is still at his prime. So yeah.
From just your experience, you knowing boxing, like how do you think the fight will play out? Do you think it'll be a slow fight? Do you think it'll be tactical? Like, do you think Crawford?
I think it's gonna start a little bit slowly. They're gonna be careful with each other just to kind of like measure each other and see where they at. And like they're like that's why like they're like champs and they're like great ones. They just don't go like.
Regis Prograis sees things differently. The former champion doubts Crawford's punches will affect a naturally bigger fighter. With a granite chin like Canelo Alvarez, he points out that Canelo has taken shots from heavy punchers who were much larger than Crawford and hardly flinched. Still, Prograis doesn't fully dismiss Crawford. While he questions Crawford's power, he admits the Nebraska star can still win through skill, strategy, and determination. In his view, Crawford's technique is world-class, and his ability to switch styles and execute perfect plans makes him dangerous, even against someone as tough as
I think that Crawford has the ability to outbox Canelo. You gotta look at it, and then Canelo's older. Crawford has the ability, but he's small, and he can look bigger Crawford can look bigger in the weigh-ins and all that stuff, but it's always a difference. When you get in that fight with somebody, you can tell. Same thing with Jamel. Jamel fought him, the twin, he fought Crawford, and in all the stuff, the weigh-ins and the press conference, Jamel looked like the bigger man. His head, his neck, everything looked bigger, but when they got in the fight, you can tell. You can see who really was the bigger man, and I think that's the same thing. Crawford is putting on weight, but it's not weight. Like Canelo had the weight already. He doesn't have to put on muscle. He doesn't have to do that. He's already big like that. But I think that Crawford does have the style. He does have the style to beat him. If you look at the people that beat him or gave trouble, Irislan, DeLaura, Austin Trout, Floyd, and Bivol. They gave him trouble and stuff like that. And Skull moved around a little bit too. So I think that Crawford has that, but I don't know how Crawford is gonna respond when he gets hit. Same thing with Jamel. Jamel was undisputed at 154, and Canelo hit him and shit. Jamel was like, hell no. Jamel took a knee, So it's a big difference. And Crawford had that one fight at 154, and he didn't, measure him off or touch him up a little bit. And this is nowhere close to measure him off. You talk about Canelo. Now, if it was just another bigger guy, I would go with Crawford. But you talk about a great. This might be. People might kill me for it, but well, not really. But this might be the best Mexican fighter ever. One of them, at least. Right?
Jose Vargas Jr., who has sparred with Terence Crawford, agrees with Prograis doubts. Vargas says he doesn't believe Crawford can hurt Canelo, having felt his punches himself. He admits Crawford is sharp and accurate, but not heavy-handed, enough to seriously trouble someone with Canelo's size and toughness. Vargas reminds people that Alvarez has survived the power of much larger fighters, which raises doubts about whether Crawford can pose the same threat. Still, Vargas doesn't count him out. He knows power isn't everything. Timing, accuracy, and pressure can wear anyone down, but he thinks Crawford's shots won't stop Canelo from moving forward.
Gonna be done in camp.
All we're doing is putting the final touches. I've been sparring Ron Ellis. This guy is a dog, bro. He's been getting me ready. he's been Canelo's sparring partner. Shout out to my guy Ron, man. He comes, tries to knock me out every single sparring. This guy fights at 68, big dude, goes southpaw, and hits hard. So I know he fought Benavidez, so you know, he's a veteran. He's doing veteran tactics in there where he's not letting me rest in the clinch. He's making me work every second of every round. And I got something for Callum. I got something for the whole boxing world. And you know, I feel you're just as good as your preparation. And we've been doing the road work. We've been doing the mountain work. I've been recovering hard. I've been getting my rest. You know, I haven't been drinking no dark sodas, bro. I'm feeling like Tyson Fury right now, bro. Like
Mickey Bay takes a bolder stance, accusing Canelo Alvarez of cherry-picking by taking the fight with Terence Crawford. Bay argues that Canelo has often been selective with opponents, waiting for advantages in timing or size. In this case, he believes Alvarez saw Crawford as a smaller fighter moving up, making the matchup easier physically. Many critics in boxing circles agree, saying Canelo is using his size and strength against a naturally lighter man. Bay points out that this idea has sparked backlash, with fans and analysts debating if the fight is fair. Still, he admits Crawford is too skilled to be overlooked. Even with Canelo as the bigger man, Crawford's intelligence and adaptability could change everything.
That size comparison type of a thing to make it seem like it's not a type of cherry pick that he has to go up into this battle.
No, he a lot bigger. See, people looking at height. Height don't got nothing to do with weight and where you've been fighting at. Like, Terence put his weight on, so it's a difference. No, Canelo's a lot bigger, like, hands down. Like, just mass, as far as mass. He naturally that thick. You know, he got to come down. Terence, just because your weight is up there, that don't mean that. That's like putting a dude Benavidez as a heavyweight. He might walk around at 205 or whatever. That don't mean he a heavyweight though. So Canelo was by far the bigger man. We just seen him hit dudes 6'3", 6'2" in the arm and hurt him. Like he didn't hurt Kovalev, light heavyweight. So I mean, did he have a light heavyweight title?
Well, when he fought Kovalev?
Just period at light heavyweight. Didn't Canelo win the light? Did he?
Nah, he just Kovalev. That's it.
Oh, okay. Well, he might only fought there a couple times, but the fact that he fought up there though, and he fought way up in light heavyweight, but he been at super middleweight for a minute, so he the bigger guy for sure. So really, he gotta hurt Crawford, or he gotta get his major respect. He gotta get his major respect to make Crawford feel like he gotta survive. If he can't that, then he probably ain't gonna win.
Do you feel like you was talking about Crawford? He needs to poke his way out of this fight, right? We've seen that. You know, Crawford's been lined up by lots of fighters. Not Errol Spence, of course, but other fighters that was able to line up with shots that don't necessarily hit like Canelo. Now, Canelo gonna line you up regardless, right?
Tom Loeffler offers another angle, focusing not on fairness, but on the spectacle of Canelo versus Crawford. As a promoter, Loeffler views this as one of the most marketable fights in modern boxing. He highlights that both Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford are among the sport's biggest stars. Each carries loyal global fan bases that cross cultures, countries, and demographics. Loeffler explains that fights of this size go beyond the ring. They capture mainstream headlines and draw casual viewers who normally wouldn't tune into boxing.
Actually being in the ring on such a high-profile show, it's huge. It doesn't get any bigger than that. And you know, you got to give credit to both guys. They're both very confident. They both have very passionate fan bases. You know, Callum, you know, having fought in Dublin, packed the arena out there, the 3 Arena, having fought at Madison Square Garden 3 times, fought in Boston, and then Fernando Jr., you know, from one of the biggest boxing named families, you know, in the history of boxing. He's going to bring out a huge fan base. So it's a really exciting addition to, you know, such a big show that like I said, doesn't get any bigger than that for sure.
I agree. I think that you, along with me, have seen some of these criticisms of the undercard. But really, when you look at it, I mean, we both know Callum Walsh so well. The personality and the authenticity that he brings to the sport is just so sincere. He's so real, you know, being from Ireland, coming overseas to train and dedicate his life to this craft. And his personality is so magnetic that it obviously brought someone like Dana White to be a huge supporter of him. I think in these weeks leading up to the fight, you know, the fighting public who does not know Callum Walsh is really going to fall in love with him, especially, you know, by fighting.
Saudi boxing figure Turki Alalshik is credited as the driving force behind making Canelo versus Crawford happen. Analysts admit that while his influence and money have created dream fights, not all of them are truly competitive. In this case, critics stress the major size difference, warning that Crawford could be at a disadvantage from the start. They argue the fight was made more for spectacle than balance. Still, Alalshik's role can't be ignored. Without him, this event likely wouldn't exist. His ability to unite two of boxing's biggest stars shows his power to shape the modern sport. Right or wrong, his vision ensures fans see a once-in-a-generation event.
And Benavidez Jr. Canelo, you know, would have mopped up all of these dudes, bro. Would have mopped up all of these dudes. Like, you know, when we're coming out and saying that this is a complete mismatch and this is a joke and this is a fantasy fight, you know what I'm saying, that Turki Alalshik dreamed of, and you know he's a big Crawford fan, knowing, you know, the level of star power that Canelo Alvarez has, and he had the bag to make this fight happen. It doesn't mean that it's a logical fight for boxing, bro. At the end of the day, man, you know, you guys tell me if Terence Crawford would have beat Triple G. Tell me if he would have beat Billy Joe Saunders. Tell me if he could beat Bivol, even though, yeah, Canelo didn't beat Bivol, but tell me if he could have beat a Sergey Kovalev. And the other loss Canelo has to Mayweather, man. Crawford, you know, nobody in the world I felt could have beat Mayweather in the height of his career, bro. Tell me if Crawford, bro, would have just flat out went in there and beat a guy like Miguel Cotto, Daniel Jacobs. You know what I'm saying, bro? Like, it's the level of competition that Canelo faced, man. And these dudes that he went in there to beat. You know, Terence Crawford is nowhere, you know, has fought nowhere near the level of competition that Canelo Alvarez has fought. And I've had some comments talking about, you know, you talk about we're going off of our emotions and you're going off of your emotions. You're not giving no facts, bro. Like, this is all facts right here, bro. The fact of the matter is, bro, Canelo Alvarez has fought at light heavyweight. The fact of the matter is, Terence Crawford has only fought once at 154 pounds. And the fact of the matter is, he was getting touched up by those right hands all night, bro. By Majumov. That's the fact, bro. The biggest, most dominating fight he ever had.
Trainer Dave Coldwell has long praised Terence Crawford's versatility, and he believes it will be crucial against Canelo Alvarez. Crawford's comfort in both orthodox and southpaw stances gives him a rare edge. Coldwell notes how Crawford uses this to create angles, break rhythm, and keep opponents guessing. He also stresses the importance of Crawford's footwork, which lets him move in and out quickly and avoid being trapped against Canelo, who excels at cutting the ring and applying pressure. That mobility could be the key. Coldwell says if Crawford keeps distance, uses lateral movement, and avoids the ropes, he can win rounds and maybe the fight. For him, the battle isn't about power, it's about IQ, discipline, and movement.
From when the fight got made, I've always fancied Crawford. I just think he's different. I think there's something about him. I think if you add what Crawford's good at, his brain, he can switch, he's very good as southpaw. His judgment at distance is fantastic, his punch picking is fantastic, he's got good legs. When you add what, and he can pop. I mean, listen, I'm not saying he's got the power to hurt Canelo, but he might have the power to surprise Canelo a little bit and just sting him and just. But when you look at what Crawford does well, and then I look at this version of Canelo, as Canelo's got on, his punch rate's gone down.